So this is the Income for Life presentation. Basically, what we're going to be talking about is solutions for your long-term income needs. So this is what we're going to be talking about. Now, this workshop has some very specific objectives. What we want to achieve with this workshop is, number one, to introduce ourselves to you so that you get to know us, you get to know who we are. That's objective number one. Objective number two, we want to educate you on this topic. So we want to get you educated on the subject of income for the rest of your life. That will be objective number two. And objective number three is to illustrate, to show you some examples of situations where these concepts can be applied so that can you see the benefits of implementing a strategy like this one. So those are our workshop objectives, and our commitment to you is, number one, to provide you sound financial information. So we're going to try to provide you some very up-to-date, accurate, consistent, pertinent to your moment in life financial information. That's objective number one. Number two, we're going to try to help you identify some specific goals that you might want to pursue financially over the rest of your life. And number three, we're going to offer you a complimentary consultation that would come after this meeting. So if you want to meet with us after this meeting to discuss any of the things that we're going to cover here today, then we are committed to offering you that. Now, everybody has an evaluation form. That evaluation form is very important for us. So please complete the evaluation forms. And in that evaluation forms, one of the questions you're going to answer is if you want us to contact you afterwards or not. Now, we can guarantee you that if you say that you don't want for us to contact you afterwards, we will not contact you afterwards. But we really would like your comments and your evaluation of our presentation, because that's going to help us improve in what we're doing. And additionally, each one of you has a booklet. That booklet is for you to keep. That booklet is, it has white borders. You can write things there and you can take notes on those booklets. And if you decide to come to the consultation with us, please bring that booklet with you, because you might have some important notes there that you would like to discuss with us later. We want to start by mentioning the fact that only 18% of workers, that's less than 1 out of each 5 workers, are confident that they will have enough money for retirement. So the majority of the people, 4 out of 5 people in this country, believe that they will not have enough money to be able to retire. And that's a feeling that is very, very common. So what we want to do in this workshop is to give you insights into the concept of income for life. And this is the agenda that we're going to follow. First, we're going to present annuities for an income that you can't outlive. So we're going to show you a financial product that is going to allow you to generate some level of income that you will not be able to outlive. Then we're going to look at some tax considerations about annuities. Then we're going to talk about trends and strategies. We're going to look at some case studies, and then we're going to ask some important questions about annuity. First, income that you cannot outlive, the annuity. So let's see what is an annuity, okay? And basically, an annuity is an alternative. It's a different option to a traditional investment. It's another way in which you can invest your money. Now, annuities are insurance-based contracts. So what that means is that only insurance companies can expedite annuities. So you can only buy annuities from insurance companies. No other type of financial company can produce, can generate, can sell an annuity. So if you purchase an annuity from an insurance agent or you purchase an annuity from a bank, you are not purchasing from the insurance agent or the bank. You're actually purchasing an annuity with the insurance company. And this is very important. It has a lot of implications. Annuities have one of the most profound element that you can find in an annuity is that they have an option for lifetime income, which is the basis of this presentation. They have tax deferred accumulation and they offer competitive rates of return. So those are some of the fundamental characteristics of annuities. And basically, you write a premium, so you pay an insurance company some money, and then that insurance company is going to return that initial amount of money that you gave them in some form of income to you. So this is the cycle that goes when you write an annuity. There are two types of annuities, and we're going to be looking at them in detail today. But basically, you have deferred annuities and you have immediate annuities. And each one of them has a very valid space in which they can do some very important things for your financial planning. So we're going to see some of the specifics about deferred annuities, and we're going to see some details about immediate annuities. So let's get into that. So what is a deferred annuity? Here we see a graph of how a deferred annuity works. And basically, the important elements of a deferred annuity are, number one, you have some type of premium that is paid into the annuity. And that premium can be in a one-time payment or over a period of time. So you can have one lump sum payment or several different payments. Again, you have different types of annuities, but it all happens during the accumulation phase. So you have an accumulation phase where the money that you are contributing into the annuity grows to a certain point, and you then have this, what I call the event horizon. This is the date in time in which you annuitize the annuity, and then you get into the payout phase, which is the period of time in which you start receiving some type of regular income. So again, this is how annuities work. You have an accumulation phase, and then you have a payout phase. So you start putting money into the annuity, and then at some point in time in the future, you start taking out money from the annuity. That's in general how annuity works. So let's get a little bit more specific here. In this case, let's see, there's somebody that at age 50 decides to contribute $100,000 in premiums into a deferred annuity. And he waits all the way to age 65. And at age 65, decides that he wants to take back his money over a 20-year period. So this is an example, a very clear example of how an annuity could work. You go through an accumulation phase of 15 years. From ages 50 to 65, you contribute $100,000. At age 65, you start the payout phase, and you tell the annuity company or the insurance company that you want your money back over a 20-year period. That is a very common way people use annuities. In this specific case, if we assume a 3% return during the accumulation phase, this $100,000 would grow to become, over a 15-year period, $155,000. And if you decide to take that money over a 20-year period here, you will get yearly payments of $10,470. Now, out of those $10,470 that you get on a yearly basis, $5,470 are taxable because the other $5,000 are you getting your money back. So part of the payment that you are getting is taxable, and part of the payment that you are getting is you getting your original money back. Therefore, you are not paying taxes on that money. That's how a deferred annuity works. Two very important elements here. Number one, earnings are not taxed until withdrawn, so you don't pay taxes on a yearly basis on the income that you are making on your investment. And by doing that, that will help you keep more of your money working for you. So instead of you giving money to the IRS every year, you keep that money and you keep investing that money so you can get your money to grow higher by using this tax deferred compounding strategy. Now, an immediate annuity works a little bit different. An immediate annuity has a lump sum payment, a premium that is a one-time event, and then immediately, quote unquote, immediately, and that can be at the end of the first month or at the end of the first year, you start getting regular income. So with an immediate annuity, you contribute some amount of money into an annuity and you start getting your money back immediately. That's why it's called an immediate annuity. So you don't have the accumulation phase, you just have the distribution phase. An example of an immediate annuity, let's say somebody is age 65 and they contribute or they pay a $100,000 premium into an immediate annuity, and we're going to assume again a 3% return, and that individual tells the insurance company that they want their money back over a 20-year period. So they will get a annual income of $6,660, of which $1,660 are taxable, and the other $5,000 are them basically getting back their initial $100,000 investment. So only a portion of the payment that they're getting is taxable. So that's how an immediate annuity would work. And it's very important to understand these two types of annuities, because later we're going to see how we can combine these two different types of annuities into some very effective financial strategies. So we're going to see how we can combine immediate annuities with deferred annuities and develop a very solid retirement plan for an individual. Okay. Now, in terms of the amount of money, in this calculation here, we were assuming a 3% return in the annuity. Now, in reality, you have, from this perspective, you have two different types of annuities. You have fixed returns and you have variable return annuities. So you have certain annuities that will give you a fixed amount of money, it's previously defined, and then you have other annuities where you're going to get a variable return based on some element that we're going to discuss now. Now, with a fixed annuity, you get a fixed return. So let's say you're going to write a fixed annuity, you will get information before you write that annuity that says, okay, you're going to get paid 3% or 4% return per year. So you know upfront what type of return you're going to get in your investment, and it's going to be a fixed interest rate that is going to be determined for a 1-year period. Now, something that is very important in fixed annuities is that they have a guaranteed minimum interest rate. And the way that works is as follows. Let's say you're going to write an annuity and they tell you we're going to pay you 4%. But you always need to ask, what is the guaranteed minimum interest rate? It might not be the 3 or 4% you are getting. It will most probably be a much lower number, close to 1%. So the minimum guaranteed return is, let's say, 1%, but you're getting right now an offer of 3 or 4%. What that means is that the following year, the insurance company can change the interest rate that they're offering to a different number based on market conditions for that specific year. And they can always lower their offer to all the way down to the guaranteed minimum interest rate. So they can offer something all the way down to 1%. They cannot go lower than that, but they can always go to the guaranteed minimum interest rate. Now, most probably that's not going to be the case, but it's legal and it's possible. So you need to always know when you are talking about a fixed annuity, what is the guaranteed minimum interest rate that you will be getting in your investment. Now, in a variable annuity, it works differently. In a variable annuity, you have what they call sub-accounts, and these are variable sub-accounts. So you have multiple accounts inside of the annuity, and you can allocate. That means you can assign a percentage of your investment to each one of those different sub-accounts, and the return that you're going to be getting on that annuity is going to be determined by the results that you get in those individual sub-accounts. So you can have a portfolio of stocks and bonds and mutual funds. You can have a mixture of different sub-accounts, and again, the return that you're going to get is going to be based on whatever those sub-accounts do for the year. That would be the case for a variable annuity. In a variable annuity, you can lose money. So if you are invested in the stock market in a variable annuity and the stock market goes down, you might end up with less money than the day you started the annuity. Also, you have a higher upside potential when you invest in a variable annuity. Variable annuities are sold by something that is called a prospectus. That's a very detailed booklet that gives all the information about how those investments are going to be managed. So if you ever decide that you want to purchase a variable annuity, you need to make sure that you ask for the prospectus and you read the prospectus, because that's going to tell you all the rules associated with how a variable annuity works. Now we have some type of, I would call a hybrid type of annuity, and it's called an index annuity. And an index annuity, it's a fixed product, it's a fixed annuity, but with some elements associated with the stock market. So an index annuity has a minimum return rate guarantee. So you have that minimum return guarantee, but the potential for higher returns that is linked to some type of market performance. So the upside potential of an index annuity will be linked to a specific market index that you select when you write the annuity. And this is a relatively new type of product. It has been in the market for 15 years, more or less now, and it's very popular. A lot of people invest their money in an index annuity because it will give you a better performance than a fixed annuity, but it will take away the risk associated with you losing your money in a variable annuity. So again, a lot of people like that combination, and that's why they go for index annuities. One important element that is associated with everything that has to do with income for life is longevity insurance. A lot of people, longevity insurance was not an issue in the past because people didn't used to live as much as they're living now. Life expectancy is growing as we speak. So in the past, somebody would retire at the age of 65, and then the life expectancy was to 70 or 72 or 73. So there were a few years in retirement. That has been changing, and now people are living longer and longer and longer. So the possibility of you running out of money many years into the future is increasing. So longevity insurance is something that it worries, and it's a concept that a lot of people are interested in because, again, the uncertainty associated with running out of money when you are very old. You can implement longevity insurance through some very specific annuity applications. So there are certain strategies in which you use an annuity as a longevity insurance conduct, a product that will provide you with longevity insurance. And it has a cost structure that is a less than an immediate annuity, but higher than a regular deferred annuity. So it's in the middle in terms of the cost structure. So again, longevity insurance is something that is very attractive for a lot of people. And one of the ways you can get longevity insurance is by this product called a qualified longevity annuity contract, a QLAC, which has a lot of tax advantages. So when you invest into an annuity, a QLAC type of annuity, you get some additional benefits associated with the way you have to pay taxes. So they're becoming more and more popular. QLACs are a type of annuity that caters to people that are looking for longevity insurance. So that's a product that is out there and is mounted on an annuity channel. Okay. So basically, those are the strategies associated with annuities for income that you cannot live. Now let's look at some tax considerations associated with these strategies, because there is a lot of tax considerations when you invest your money with annuities, and that's precisely one of the things that make them attractive, but at the same time it makes them complex, and that's why you need to understand annuities before you purchase an annuity. The first thing that we're going to talk about here is the fact that annuities grow tax deferred. So let's look at an example of what is the effect of tax deferred growth. Here we have an initial investment. Okay, we're talking about a $100,000 initial premium, and it's growing at a 3% rate of return, and that individual is at the 24% tax bracket. So these are some of the things that you need to make sure you understand when you are talking about annuities. Okay, what is my rate of return? What is your tax bracket, etc. So we're talking here. So this would be the example over 10 years, how much your money will grow over 10 years if you would have had a taxable investment at 24%. So your initial premium of $100,000 would have grown to $125,000. Now, if you would have invested that same amount of money in a tax-deferred annuity here, your money would have grown to $134,000. So you see how same amount of money, same period of time, same rate of return, but because of the tax-deferred element, your money grows faster. If we extend that to a 30-year period, your initial $100,000 would have grown to $196,000 under a taxable product versus $242,000 under a tax-deferred type of product. Now, this investment here already paid taxes. This investment here has not paid taxes yet. So you need to pay taxes over this amount of money. But guess what? When you pay the taxes, after you pay taxes, you are still going to have, and I'm sorry about that, you will still have more money than under the taxable investment. So tax defer will help you accumulate more money over the long run. And that's one characteristic that annuities bring into financial planning. Tax deferred growth, a fundamental element with annuities. Now, something that we do not take into consideration when we are talking short term is inflation. We normally cannot perceive the effect of inflation over a short period of time. But if we talk over a long period of time, inflation can be something that is very dangerous, and silent. So let's look at the effect of inflation on money. This is an example here. Let's assume somebody has an initial investment of 10,000 bucks, $10,000 invested, and they have a 4% return on that investment. So how much money did they make over 1 year? They made 400 bucks, okay? $10,000 at 4%, they make 400 bucks. Now we're going to assume that this individual is at the 32% tax bracket. So he has to pay 32% of those 400 bucks in taxes. So he ends up with $272 after taxes, okay? So he had an initial amount of $10,000 and then he made $272 after taxes. So he ends up after 1 year with $10,272. That's before we calculate the effect of inflation. Now let's assume that for that same year, we had a 3% inflation rate. So let's assume a 3% inflation rate. In order for you to adjust this $10,272, okay, for this 3% inflation rate, you would end up by getting this amount of money, $9,973. This amount of money adjusted for a 3% inflation rate in terms of the real value of money. So the point is that no matter that you made 4% return, you ended up with less money that you started with that year. That is the effect of inflation over money. Now, this is a 1 year period example. If you take that over a 10 or a 15 or a 20 or a 30-year period, this is a very serious financial situation. So the point is that when you are thinking about long-term investments, you need to consider inflation as a very important element that you need to make sure you protect against. So under that scenario, a 4% return that initially sounded as something relatively positive is not as good. So again, we need to make sure that we understand the effect of inflation on money. Other element that you need to take into consideration with annuities is the fact that annuities have penalties and surrender charges. And these are two very important elements that you need to clearly understand. There is a 10% federal income tax penalty on withdrawals taken prior to age 59 and a half. When you invest your money in an annuity, the federal government allows you not to pay taxes on a yearly basis because supposedly you are saving money for retirement. Now, if you do not commit to that and you take money before you retire, and the magic number here is the age of 59 and a half, you will be penalized on part of the profits that were generated in your annuity. So again, if you are thinking about investing money in an annuity, you should try to avoid taking money out of the annuity before the age of 59 and a half. So that's a very important element there. And additionally, and they say here most annuities, I would say all annuities are subject to surrender charges in the early years of the contract. And normally the way it works is they are directly associated with the number of years you have to keep your money inside the investment. So if it's a 7-year annuity, if you take your money in the first year, there is a 7% surrender charge. And then it goes down all the way to 0%. So you need to know that when you are considering annuities. Now let's look at some trends and strategies associated with annuities. Payout options. And this is one of the most powerful elements with annuities, the payout options. Basically, some of the most common options that you have under the payout options is the single life payout option. What is that? You can invest your money in an annuity And when you get to the moment that you want your money back, you can tell the insurance company, hey, I want you to give me a check for the rest of my life until the day I die. That's what's called a single life payout option. So that way you can guarantee yourself some level of income that you cannot outlive because you will get a payment for the rest of your life. And then you have some other one is called, for example, joint and survivor. And a joint and survivor is somebody can say, hey, give me X amount of money until the day I die, and then I want you to give some additional amount of money to my survivor until the day he or she dies. That is a joint and survivor payout option. That's another very common payout option that is used with annuities. And finally, another one that is very common is the specified period payout option, which is giving my money over the next 10 years. So cut me a check every year for the next 10 years, or cut me a check every year for the next 20 years, or cut me a check every year for the next 5 years. So you have different payout options, and this is what makes annuities a very powerful product, because these payout options can be aligned and catering to certain specific situations that an individual might have when they get older. Now, in terms of investing your money, and this is something that is very important, because if you decide that you want to invest in stocks, let's say the average return over the 25-year period from 1993 to 2017 is basically stocks return at 9.7%, and corporate bonds returned 6.4%. And then you have treasury bills that ended up returning 2.5%. And these numbers, they make very important differences over the results of your investment. So it's not the same thing to invest at a 2.5 rate of return than to invest at a 6% return, or to invest at a 10% return. So that will dramatically change the results of your investment. With annuities, you have the capacity to achieve diversification. That's one of the objectives that you want to accomplish with annuities. And when you diversify your investments, that's a very effective way to manage risk. So one of the things that you do with annuities is you see your overall financial situation, and you allocate certain amount of money into annuities in order for you to diversify the risk associated with all the money that you have. So annuities are a very powerful risk management uh, type of product. Let's put it that way. Now, aside from helping you manage risk, annuities have other benefits. Let's talk about some of those additional benefits. Number one, preservation of principal, flexible premium options, flexible payout options, death benefit, and they avoid probate. One of the important things about annuities is that when you write an annuity, you immediately assign a beneficiary for the annuity. So when the owner of the annuity dies, that annuity goes directly to that beneficiary without having to go through a probate process. So it bypasses everything that has to do with that succession process that can be slow and can cost a lot of money. So that's another element that is very important about annuities, the fact that they avoid probate. Other important thing about annuities, and this is very valid here in the state of Texas, is that if you lose a lawsuit and you have your money in an annuity, they cannot take your money from an annuity. So your money is protected. When you have an annuity, they cannot take the money from your annuity. Now, if you have a money in your checking account or in your savings account and you lose a lawsuit, they can go and take your money from your checking or savings account. But that's not the case with annuities. And again, that's another very important element about annuities. Now, that's not the case for all states in the union, but it's definitely the case in the state of Texas. So again, another very important additional benefit about annuities. In terms of supplementary retirement plans, when you decide that you want to save for retirement via an employer-sponsored retirement plan, you have very strict limitations about the amount of money that you can contribute to the plan. You cannot just contribute all the money that you want through your employer to your 401k or your 403b. There are limits. And for example, with an IRA, if you want to start saving money for retirement, there are yearly limits on those types of accounts that will not let you contribute all the money that you want. So because of that, annuities become a very viable alternative for you to supplement your retirement plan. So you can max out all the contributions that you are doing to your employer sponsored plans, and then through a non-qualified annuity, add some additional money that you will use during retirement. So annuities give you flexibility in terms of the amount of money that you can start saving for retirement, because they are not subject to the same limits that you have on the employer sponsored retirement plan. So if you are contributing to your retirement plan through your employer, but that money is not enough, then you can supplement that by investing money in an annuity. That's another application that you have for annuities. Now, whenever you want to take money out of the annuity, when you get into the distribution phase and you want to start taking money out, there are some access provisions. Okay, so there are some access provisions. Again, we mentioned the surrender charges. Now, many of these annuities, they have some clauses where you can take 10% of the money every year without being subject to any type of penalty. So the point that I want to emphasize here is the fact that there are access provisions and non-forfeiture clauses in the document, in the product, that you need to make sure you are familiarized with them when you purchase an annuity. So you need to make sure you read all the characteristics of those provisions. There is a concept called the 1035 exchange. And basically with a 1035 exchange, you can move money from one annuity to another annuity without it being a taxable event. So if you have an old annuity under some old conditions and you are presented with a newer annuity that is more efficient or is better, you can move your money from the old annuity into the new annuity without having to pay taxes, and you do that by doing a 1035 exchange. So this is one way for you to move money from one annuity to another without having to be hit with a seizable taxable bill. Question, yeah. For example, let's say you are in an annuity that has a 1% guaranteed interest rate. So if market conditions go down, your annuity, they can start paying you 1% on your annuity. And some other person comes to you and says, okay, I have this other annuity. I'm offering you the same interest rate that you're getting on that annuity, but on this one, instead of the guarantee minimum being 1%, is 3%. So that means that under no scenario, they can offer you less than 3%. That would be a very valid reason why you would like to move your money from this annuity to this other annuity. Because now, here they can go all the way down to 1%, and here they can only go down to 3%, so you're guaranteed a higher amount of money. That would be one example of a reason why somebody would want to move from one annuity to another. Additionally, some of the old annuities had certain types of investments where you could allocate the money, and that's it. The newer annuities can give you more options. So there is another reason why you would want to move from one annuity to another annuity. Now, when you're going to be moving from one annuity to another annuity, you need to make sure that you revise the surrender charges, because you don't want to hit somebody with high surrender charges when moving from one product to another. So again, this is done after somebody has been with an annuity for a long period of time and has already cleared all the surrender charges. Then there is no problem about moving through, and let me go back here, through a 1035 exchange into a better product. So once you clear the hurdles associated with the surrender charges, through a 1035 exchange, you can move one individual from one annuity to another without it being a taxable event. So if you run into somebody that has an annuity, the first thing you ask is, for how long have you had your annuity? First question, for how long have you had your annuity? And in fact, if you are the owner of an annuity, okay, you know that you have had your annuity for 9 years now, and you know that you have surrender charges for 7 years. So if you would have moved that money out of that annuity for the first 7 years, you would have been hit with surrender charges. Now you know that there are no more surrender charges, so you can explore the possibility of a better product out there, and you know that through a 1035 exchange, you could move the money into that new annuity. Newer products are in general better products, more efficient. Insurance companies are always trying to improve on their offer, so they have more bells and whistles, and they have more features, and they are more attractive products. Okay, so the commission is another very important element that you need to take into consideration. Yeah. Okay, and how long have he had that annuity for? That's an important question, okay? So check out to see, hey, how long have you had that annuity? And then you can explore the possibility to move them into one of the index products, okay? That would be another thing you could do, okay? So again, 1035 is a very viable way to move money from one annuity to another. Question? Come again, what's the question? Profit sharing plan, If he takes the money before the age of 59 and a half, okay, in principle, the answer to that is yes, but there are certain rules that would help you avoid the penalties when you take money before the age of 59 and a half. There are certain specific situations, calamity and other things where you wouldn't be hit with the penalties associated with taking your money before the age of 59 and a half. So you would have to see, it's on a case-by-case basis. Okay. This is what I was talking about the split annuity. And basically, in a split annuity, you combine two annuities. You put together two different annuities. This is a more advanced strategy. Okay. In a split annuity strategy, you combine a deferred annuity with an immediate annuity. So what you do is you take some amount of money and you start investing that money in the long run, let's say for 10 or 15 or 20 years, and you are allowing that money to grow to a X amount of money. And on the other side, you take some additional amount of money and you start using that money. So this money here will go all the way to zero, but this money has grown in such a way that it replaces the amount of money here that you have spent. So this is what we call a split annuity, and this is something to consider when you are looking into advanced retirement strategies. Split annuities will help you have the best of two worlds. On the one side, get some money immediately, and on the other side, taking some money and investing it over the long run so that you don't run out of money later. So that would be the objective of a split annuity strategy. Again, we talked about the state conservation issues. So annuity contracts are generally not included in taxable estates, so it avoids probate. So that's a very important feature about annuities. And the death benefit passes to the beneficiaries free of probate. So again, everything that has to do with estate planning associated with annuities, it bypasses the probate process, which is something that, especially when you have a complex state, it can be something that is it's going to take a lot of time, and it can be very expensive. So with annuities, you can bypass that process. Let's look at some case studies. Let's look at some specific case studies. We have here the Millers. It's a couple, both of them retired, both of them 65 years old. They have $400,000 in a bank, and they're making 2%. So the 2%, $400,000 at 2% is making them $8,000 of income. And this $8,000 of income, it's making them increase their level of income to such a level where they're paying taxes on their Social Security retirement check. So they have to pay taxes on 85% of the Social Security retirement check. So what they want to do is they want to look for a strategy in which they can reduce the amount of taxes that they're paying based on this situation. So one thing that they could do is they could reposition the $400,000 from the CDs into a fixed annuity. They can say, instead of having the money in a CD, let's move the money into a fixed annuity. Automatically, by doing that, their money starts growing tax deferred. So now the $8,000 in interest that they're making is not counted toward their yearly income, and automatically that will lower their taxable income, and will lower the amount of money that they will end up paying in over Social Security taxes. So by moving the money from a bank CD into an annuity, they end up paying less money on the Social Security check because they reduce the tax bracket in which they were. Question? Yeah, if they just move into annuities in general, they get this benefit here. Now, the difference between a fixed annuity or an index annuity, it would probably get more than the 8%. Okay, I'm sorry, more than the 2%. Okay, but that's a different component of the analysis here. What we're focusing here is the fact that we're moving the $8,000 income from being accounted for every year into tax deferred growth. Now it's not being counted automatically. They're not paying taxes over those 8,000 bucks. But not only that, now since they have a lower tax bracket, they are paying less taxes on their Social Security check. So it helps them in two different ways by just moving the money from a CD into any one of the different types of annuities that are out there, aside from what type of return they're getting. So yeah, let me go back here. Now, one of the things I want you to accomplish by being here today is to not feel afraid about talking about annuities anymore. That's what I want to accomplish. That annuities, let's sit down. Let's talk. Okay? Start the conversation. Don't dodge the conversation because you are lost about annuities. Now, you have it in front of you. You understand what an annuity is. Let me look at it. Let me see what I need to see. Let me see what type of annuity we have. Let's see where we are. Let's see if we can help you. I'm not saying that we're going to be able to help everybody all the time, but now you don't have to be afraid about annuities because you have a very basic understanding of annuities that can take you through the first elements of the process. That's what I want to achieve here. Okay, so very good. The fact that you are digesting and taking notes and looking at the numbers, because there is no need now for you to be afraid about annuities. You can have a conversation on annuities. In fact, you have a license to sell annuities. You are licensed insurance agents that can sell this type of product. Okay, so again, we achieved a lot by moving that money from a CD into an annuity. Another situation, we have Carol here, and she has a taxable income of $85,000 a year. She's at the 24% tax bracket, and she has an investment portfolio of 100,000 bucks. Okay, and she makes on that $100,000 investment, She makes 7% per year, so she's making $7,000 a year in returns on her investment portfolio. And we're assuming here that she's at the 24% tax rate. So she's paying, out of these 7,000 bucks, she's paying 24%. So she's paying taxes over this return here, 1,680 bucks. And her objective is to reduce taxes and diversify her portfolio, have different types of investments. So let's see how could Carol implement that strategy. One thing that she could do, she could take those 100,000 bucks and divide them into two accounts. Okay, take the 100,000, divide it into two $50,000 accounts. One where she's still under a taxable type of investment, and invest the rest of the money in a tax deferred annuity. If she does that over a 20-year period, she would end up the 50,000 that were under the taxable event will grow to 140,000, and the 50,000 that were under the tax deferred product will grow to 193,000. At the end of the overall process, once she pays taxes over these 50,000 bucks here that grew to $193,000, she would end up with $159,000. So this is another example how by moving the money around and reallocating certain parts of your portfolio into tax deferred growth annuities, you can lower your tax bill and still maintain some of the elements that you wanted, like liquidity and returns and all that. So that would be another example. Now let's look at some important questions associated with annuities. Some questions that everybody has about annuities. The first one, is an annuity appropriate for you? Is an annuity appropriate for me? Should I invest the money in an annuity? Now, should you choose a fixed or a variable annuity? What's better? What's better for me, a fixed or a variable annuity? How do you allocate a variable annuity? How do you distribute the money in a variable annuity? And then how do you select an insurance company? Which insurance company should I go with when I decide that I'm going to be investing my money in an annuity? So the first one, is an annuity appropriate for you? You have to look at all the things that we just saw. You have to look at all the elements to see if an annuity is the proper product for you. Number one, will you be benefited by tax deferral or not? And again, you have to analyze that situation. Will you be benefited by the flexibility of the annuity? Is that real or that's not real for you? And again, you have to analyze that situation. Are you affected by the contribution limits? If you are with an employer and you are maxed out, then you are affected by the contribution limits. But if you are not maxed out, you might think that it would be better to top your contribution limits before you think about going and investing in an annuity. So again, it might be the appropriate product for you or it might not. The important thing is that you need to make sure that you know what are the issues that you need to consider when you are analyzing that. The cost. Annuities are products that have different costs, and you need to be aware of those costs. They have sales charges, and they have administrative fees, and they have investment management fees if you are doing variable annuities, and they have mortality and expense charges. So annuities have costs, and you need to become aware of those costs and make sure that you understand what they are and how they would affect you. Additionally, for example, 10% federal income tax penalty on early withdrawals and surrender charges. For example, yesterday I was talking to this client. Initially, we were talking about a $300,000 annuity. And in the conversation, she started saying that she used to own a house and she sold that house. And she was thinking about buying another house and renting one of the rooms inside the house, so that she could get money to pay for a part of the mortgage. Okay. So immediately we decided that it would not be prudent to do a $300,000 annuity because she was considering this alternative of purchasing a house. So what we ended up deciding was, okay, let's do something. Let's get started with an $150,000 annuity so that you get the money invested going immediately, and let's leave $150,000 outside of the annuity until you decide if you want to buy the house or not. If you buy the house, you have up to $150,000 to buy the house. But if you end up doing a down payment of $40 or $60 or $80,000 for the house, we can take the rest of the money and, depending on when it happens, either invest it into that same annuity that we already did, or we can get another annuity. So again, very important, when you are thinking about annuity, you need to have clarity in terms of the different things that can happen in the near future to see if you might be needing some of that money. Make sure you leave that money outside of the annuity to prevent for that situation. Again, additional considerations that you need to look at when you are thinking about annuities. Should it be a fixed or a variable annuity? Age is an important element there. The younger you are, the more risk you can take. So as you get older, you need to move from variable products into fixed products. So again, that will be a determinant of how much risk you can take. And there are other things like risk tolerance. There's people out there that no matter how young or old they are, they just don't like risk. So a product where you can lose money will not be the right type of product for that individual. So again, those are other elements that you need to take into consideration. Now, how do you allocate a variable annuity? If you decide to go with a variable annuity, how do you decide how you're going to invest the money? What type of sub-accounts you're going to be getting? Well, you need to know yourself in terms of what if your risk tolerance, how much risk you can take to see, because that's going to end up affecting your decisions on your money. If you have a low risk tolerance and you start losing money in an annuity, you might pull out of some investment and end up losing money in the process. So again, your personality and your style will be deterministic in terms of the type of annuity that you should be looking at. Again, aside from that, if you want to invest in variable products, you need to have absolute clarity of the costs associated with that management fees. You need to know those management fees. In some instances, they are high. And you have the investment spectrum. And basically, in the investment spectrum, you have the higher the risk, the higher the potential for returns. So if you look here, cash alternatives have a lower risk and lower potential return. Stocks have higher risk and higher potential return. So you need to decide where you want to be in terms of the investment spectrum. This is something that again goes directly associated with your personality and how much time you have to take these risks. Now, you have what they call rating companies, and the most famous ones, or the ones that are the most reputable ones, are AM Best, Standard & Poor's, Moody's, and Fitch ratings. And they have these tables that will rate insurance companies. And they rate them based on different types of criteria. So the point is that whenever you're going to look for an insurance company, you should be aware of the insurance company ratings. How not only who the person that is in front of you that is selling you the product, telling you how good or bad that insurance company is, but you should do your due diligence and make sure you go to one of these rating companies and make sure you get the description in terms of their assessment of the specific insurance companies. My recommendation for annuities, under no scenario, invest in an insurance company that has less than a good rating. In fact, I will even go all the way to the minimum would be an excellent rating. Okay, I would prefer to move under an excellent rating or a superior rating. That would be my recommendation of the type of annuity that you should use. And these are the 800 numbers. Again, you have also in your booklets, you have this information. So whenever you are considering an insurance company, make sure you call the ratings company, any one of these. The one that I use the most is AM Best. That's the one that I use for all my ratings for insurance companies. But again, they all have some type of uh, rating structure that will help you make those decisions. So we saw annuities in terms of the different financial challenges that individuals have out there. We saw how you have financial challenges with income and taxes and retirement and investing. So annuities are products sold by insurance companies that would help you manage some of the challenges associated with many different aspects of your personal finances. They are a very valid product to cater to many of these different needs that an individual has in terms of managing their money in the long run. Annuities are a proper product for that. So you can combine annuities in different ways in creative solutions for each one of your different financial needs. Okay, so where do you go from here? You have different alternatives of the things that you can do. Number one, you can do all your analysis by yourself. That's one option that you have. Number two, you can go and work with a different financial advisor. You can go to a bank to see if they give you financial advice over there. You could work with us, and that's obviously what we want to do is we want to work with you in terms of helping you make decisions with regards to annuities, or you could just procrastinate and do nothing and let your money there and see what ends up happening. Again, as we mentioned at the beginning, there is an evaluation form. Please go ahead and complete the evaluation forms. As we stated at the beginning of this presentation, we made a commitment that if you answer in this evaluation form that you don't want to be contacted by anybody, we'll make sure you are not contacted by anybody. But also we made a commitment that if you wanted to do a follow-up consultation with us, we'll make sure we contact you as soon as possible if you want to pursue that in the near future. So again, thank you for the participation in this workshop. In your booklet, you have a list of documents that we recommend you to bring if you are going to participate or you want to take advantage of the free consultation that we are offering. Make sure you include all those documents in that list there, and make sure that you also bring the booklet with the specific notes and questions that you wrote during the presentation. Again, everybody, thank you very much for your participation here tonight.